Hello, hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your July 2019 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a sun, moon, rising Scorpio. And just so you know, in the description box, I have a whole bunch of stuff going on. I started a podcast. Make sure you check that out. All of the cards and decks that I use in today's reading are listed in the description box. All of the ways to work with me are in the description box, as well as some meditations that I just put out. So you're welcome to check all of that out. Now I'm going to lay this down and then we'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to pull these oracle cards, and while I do this, just go ahead, check in with your situation this month. Take a deep breath into the diaphragm. Just check in. If there's some information you want to have come up during this reading, go ahead and invite that now. Okay. So let's start with the truth bomb. First thing, hold the excuses. So usually excuses are pointing to something else, right? Like, oh, well, XYZ needs to be perfect, or maybe I need to do this first, or you know, there's no way that's going to work. Whatever the excuse is, there's probably like some fear, self-doubt, something else is sitting underneath that. So you can just look at them, but make sure you're not buying into them every time. Otherwise, you won't do anything. All right, let's see what the animal spirit card is for you. Unicorn. Okay, so this is the... I believe this is corresponding to the sixth chakra, which is all about seeing your next step. So this is going to be a good time to focus on manifestation, especially because at least I consider Mercury retrograde to be a great time to manifest, because it's all about revising and editing, and just spending a lot of time building in the astral is actually going to be really good. So this is just saying, paint the picture, figure out what it is that you want, and spend a lot of time holding that vision. It's not your job to figure out the how, it's your job to hold space for what it is that you desire and step into that version of yourself that is receiving the things that you desire. And then we also have self-acceptance. Nothing is more exhausting than endlessly working on yourself. When you offer your whole being fully to love, self-acceptance arises spontaneously. May I rest in oneness, dear divine. So this is, there's no reason to judge what it is that you want, or to, you know, it's kind of like you're never going to be in a space where it's like, oh, everything is perfect. So kind of accept where you are now, knowing that there's always work to do, right? That never ends. We're constantly, hopefully, striving to better ourselves and make changes. But it also kind of needs to be met with some compassion, acceptance, and self-love. That's kind of the sweet spot that you're going for. Now, the central energy for you in July is the Ace of Swords. So big ideas, big vision. Okay, your month is really going to be about the ideas, the inspiration, how you're thinking about things, what you're thinking about, what you are imagining yourself to be, and how you're really elevating your thinking this month. It's important to do that during this time, because the mind is controllable. Like, there's always ways to reprogram yourself, even if you had the most damaging programming early in life, which I know a lot of the people that I work with, that's what they're up against. So just remember that it can be worked through, it can be modified, it can be changed. Now, what you have shifting out in July is the Nine of Cups. So I think there was probably a lot of stuff that you're like, yes, this is what I want, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing. I'm clarifying this one. But I think there might be, I'm getting that this is like you made the ask, but the maintenance part, the mindset maintenance is what you need in order to sustain that. And to clarify the Nine of Cups, I have Page of Cups, Daughter of Summer. So I think you're also going to be getting a lot of clarity on what like you're refining what it is that you asked for, that vision for yourself. How does it feel? What does it look like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? You're just getting into the refinement of that. And so you may have asked, but then said, oh, maybe that's too lofty, or maybe that's not reasonable or plausible. And so that's why you have to hold the excuses, step into exercising the mindset a lot this month, working on more of the imagination, visualizing and building in, you know, not the tangible, but more in the astral space. And then that's how things are going to start getting flowing and moving for you. The oncoming energy is the Star. Beautiful. So this is like things are working out, you know, even behind the scenes. If you can't see it yet, if it hasn't come to fruition yet, that doesn't mean it's not happening. It means that things are in progress. Things are working out for you. So you can really trust yourself with all of this, accept what it is that you want, what you need, what you desire. There's no reason to shy away from that or for it to be anything that you don't pursue. You can pursue whatever it is that you want. There's an infinite number of things that you can create in this lifetime. So trust that part of yourself more than anything else. And then hold space for what it is that you want. It's like you're bridging the gap between things actually happening and propelling forward and the interim, the waiting period. Because if you ask for something and it doesn't appear immediately, there's going to be some peaks and valleys in your mindset, right? That's a normal human thing to have happen. If you ask and it doesn't appear right away, you know, maybe you're going to have some days that are really, really confident. Maybe you have some days that are filled with self-doubt and fear. Maybe you have some days that are somewhere in between. But whatever the case may be, your job is just to work on the maintenance so that you can get to this place where you're actually welcoming the experience of the Star, everything kind of unfolding the way it needs to be. And that's your job, is just to make sure you're taking aligned action where applicable. And then this is what you need to know about July, the Hanged Man. It's consistency is what will support the situation. So it's the consistent visualization or imagination of whatever it is that you're building, right? It's going to be different for everybody. Some of you are focusing on creating partnerships. Some of you are focused on like your dream job. Some of you are focused on just straight up abundance or maybe building a family. Whether it be relational or material, doesn't really matter. The point here is that it's a muscle that you need to build and strengthen. So the more you exercise it through consistently stepping into that and consistently putting a harness on your mind and then steering it in the direction that you want it to go, the better off you're going to be. And then this is advice for you. Nine of Swords, there's going to be some fear that comes up, right? Fear does not mean that you're going in the wrong direction. Fear does not mean that everything's going to fall apart. Fear does not mean that, you know, it's a nightmare of a situation. It doesn't mean that. It just is your brain trying to keep you safe, right? It's trying to drag you back into whether it be a stress or fear addiction, right? Because those are highly, highly addictive emotions. So it could easily be, you know, that catastrophic thinking is so much easier to fall into rather than really holding space for a bright future or the things that you actually desire and knowing that that's possible. That seems childish to most people. It seems like a fantasy thing. You know, that's why the unicorn is on the table. Because it's like, this seems impossible, right? This is the like fantasy world. And I don't think that just because you have lofty goals or there's things that you want to create means that they're unrealistic, right? So that's where the fear is just like, okay, this is what you kind of need to cleanse and take care of. That's why maintaining your mindset is the most important thing you can do this month. And then we have the 8 of Swords. So the only person who's holding you back is you. That's it. There's nobody else like doing this to you. Nobody else is like in charge of your experience, right? And of course, there are singular events or experiences or like maybe things that have happened in your childhood where it's like, yes, that could have been the case. But as you grow into an adult and you gain more autonomy and your experiences can change, you have way more authority over what happens, over what you're experiencing, where you put yourself and things like that. So it's the important thing is to capitalize on that rather than fixating on what won't work. So the 8 of Swords is just saying you're going to box yourself in if you only focus on the excuses or what isn't working or the fear in itself. It's going to put these parameters on you and it's going to prevent you from doing what it is that you want. So get ahead of that curve. Now let's get into the timeline. So the first quarter of July for Scorpio is the 10 of Swords. This is about releasing that fear. So we all have fear-based thoughts, right? They don't just disappear. It's about what you're doing with them, right? Are you buying into them? Are you picturing them over and over? Are you imagining them over and over again? Like, what are you really doing with them? Because when the fear comes up, it's important to allow it to discharge and replace the thought, replace the thing that you're imagining, like choose again. You can have the fear arise, but you just need to choose something different for yourself. Like, what do you want that to be replaced with? And then make that a practice. And then second quarter, we have the Ace of Coins. So this is like the initiation energy of whatever it is that you're wanting. Okay, it's about the application, actually planting the seed, right? So maybe you do that, or there's something that happens that's really scary and then you realize it's not that bad, that you kind of have a little bit of space open up. So this is just fear that kind of needs to be escorted out of the room. And then the Ace of Coins, let me see what's going on in the third quarter, and this is going to make more sense. So we have the Queen of Cups. This is, water sign dominant. But it's also, I think this is where the self-acceptance really comes into play. Is like if you peel off that layer of fear, which is what you're doing at the beginning of the month, and you kind of show yourself or initiate, or you do the scary thing, or you trust in yourself a little bit more, it's kind of like you then get into this space where you feel like you actually have mastery over the emotions that are coming up. Like the emotional experience or the thought that you have isn't actually you, right? That's not it. That's, yes, sure, it's one possibility, but it's not actually something that needs to be fixated on. And the more that you get into the practice of retraining yourself to shift into a different direction through whatever tools, whether it be meditation or anything else, then it can really help you get into this space. And remember, I'm all in favor of processing emotions, negative things that happen, damage that may have occurred. Those things need to be processed. This is not about just ignoring all of that and faking positivity, right? But the fear piece, the I'm worried about blah, 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 that's the part that you can kind of retrain, because this is all hypothetical. The 10 of Swords is the hypothetical. The 9 of Swords is the, I'm just imagining this thing. It's not real. We're not talking about something that has occurred. So that's the distinction that I want to make here. Now, the fourth quarter, wrapping up the month. Ooh, the Star again? Okay, well, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong if you're making an effort, if you're showing up for yourself, you're not going to blow it this month. So I think it's time to trust yourself a little bit more, trust the way that things are going, and it's very easy to kind of fall into just forget about it, it's not even worth it, or I'm not going to try, or whatever. But this is saying that, like, yes, what you want is on the table. Your job is to work on the mindset piece. And I think this month for you is more about like the manifestations that you've kind of put in the oven a while ago, or the orders that you've placed. Maybe you feel like, you know, they're not happening, or you might not be destined for those. I hate that stuff. Anything like that I think is total garbage. But this is where it's kind of like you're going to really start seeing things come together by the end of July. I think there's a lot of stuff, because you have the star here and the star here. That's where that's the trajectory of this reading. Like, come on. No complaints. No complaints about having the star pop up twice. So the things that you're manifesting, you just have to be able to work through the fear. That's really the only thing that you should be focusing on this month, is like retraining yourself to not fixate on fear and instead try to pour more of your energy into what it is that you are creating. Okay, so we're going to do a 3-card pick. You're welcome to pick a card, any card that works for you. You can ask a question if you'd like. Card number 1, we have the 4 of Cups. So don't forget that yeses and nos matter. That's always what we have popping up with the 4 of Cups. There might be some things that you want to say no to if it's not in alignment with you, and there's some things that you might be resistant to because of fear, but you need to say yes to, right? So if you asked for something and the perfect opportunity comes up and you're afraid of saying yes, but God, universe, divine source is saying, here you go, and you reject it, you know, that doesn't mean that the universe isn't delivering. That's where free will kicks in. So pay attention to what you're saying yes to, because the things you say yes to are what will compound, and the things you say no to are what will... It's a little bit more neutral when you say no, but you get the idea. Card number 2, we have the 9 of Swords. Yeah, this is all about like the hypothetical fear. We're not talking about trauma or like something that has happened. We're talking about projecting that onto the future. Like, oh, well, history tells me that bad things happen, so I'm going to anticipate that in the future. You're setting yourself up for failure if you're unwilling to shift that. Right? So it does take work to train yourself out of that. But that's like the secret sauce for you this month, is shifting that 9 of Swords so you can hold space for what it is that you do need support-wise, or whatever it is you're creating. Card number 3, we have the 8 of Cups. I think you're changing your perspective. This is nice because your outlook on something is changing. It's like, oh, this is what I thought in the past. This is what I was doing in the past, but this is how I'm going about this moving forward. So it could be something like the direction that you're taking your career, or it could be like the way you were thinking about partnership before and the way you're thinking about partnership now. There's a whole bunch of variability that goes along with this card. So just keep that in mind. It looks like there's definitely a shift there. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I absolutely appreciate you more than you could possibly know. Please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. You're welcome to click that bubble right there. And I'm creeping up on 50,000 right now, so I'm super excited. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Onyx Healing. That is where you can get more content, more readings, all sorts of good stuff that you get for free, as well as my podcast Sunday messages if you are interested in more of the energetic, intuitive healing, stuff like that. All of that is on my podcast, which is in the description box. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, that is also available in the description box. And another thing that I just launched recently is my meditations. And so those are available for you to get on my website. They are more of a class style. So I teach you energetic tools, and that's more for those of you that are interested in the intuitive development piece, learning how to access your own intuition. That is now available for you as well, loaded with tools. So I hope you guys enjoy those if you check those out. And if you are interested in more of the tarot readings, then make sure you check out my Patreon. I do love and relationship readings, which come out every month, that are big readings like this, but they are sign specific. And I also do weekly sign specific readings, the big circle, oval readings that I do. And those come out every Friday. So there's a whole bunch of different tiers for you to choose from. And until next time, have a beautiful July, everybody. I am sending you so much love and support. Don't forget to watch your sun, moon, and rising signs if you haven't already. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.